If you listen to exactly what I'm about to tell you in this video, the achievement of your goals this year will become absolutely inevitable. And they will simply become a byproduct of the mental framework that I'm about to provide you that you can not only use this year, next year, in 5 years, but for the rest of your life. This might be the most valuable video that you watch this entire year. And I think the timing of this video is also super important as well, because it's the start of the year, it's the time for resolutions, goal setting and things like that, which is so fucking good. And I'm super happy that everyone wants to change their lives and make better decisions and create better habits for themselves. But the reality is, most people aren't even going to make it to February. Most people won't even make it to February before they completely fuck it up, fall off the bandwagon and go back to how they were. So, by listening to this video and the framework that I'm going to provide you, it could literally provide the difference between staying where you are and having another year of fucking misery and not being the person you want to be, or becoming the person you've always wanted to be. So just quickly before I continue on this video, I'm going to quickly read out a post that I posted up on my Instagram stories a few weeks ago, because I think it really illustrates the point that I'm trying to get across. And then once I've read them out, I will go a little bit more in depth into what I'm trying to say. So, when it comes to setting a goal, start with the end goal in mind. However, this is irrelevant during the process of things, and focusing on the end goal only reinforces the fact that there is a deficit between where you are and where you want to be. Recognizing this deficit is the reason to start, but not the primary focus and reason during the pursuit. Because if the deficit itself is too big, it can cause fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the mind about whether the goal is actually achievable or not. If we label the end goal as the threshold for accomplishment, then the process itself produces a deficit in milestones, which is ultimately the reason almost all people fall off and quit before the achievement of their goal. The lack of increments within the standard goal setting mentality and mindset is the downfall for everyone. And this is where my mental hopscotch framework becomes absolutely invaluable. I'm going to go a little bit more depth into that in a second. With your goals, reverse engineer the end person or goal in order to produce the steps required. Obviously, steps will greatly vary depending on the goal, but once the steps are required, solely focus on only the next step. Imagine the full trajectory of your goal and mentally break it down into a hopscotch template. You can only proceed to the next square on the template on completion of the previous square. This allows the journey to have defined, precise moments of importance by focusing simply on the next step. This becomes more mentally attainable because the next milestone doesn't seem so far away or so far along down the track, thus providing a much more rewarding pathway and one that is clearly defined. If you just complete each necessary step on the hopscotch template, the achievement of your goal is inevitable. By clearly outlining the procedure, it allows us to literally produce an instruction manual to complete the goal that you want. This allows you to literally not be able to fail. So I'll go a little bit more in depth with what I'm trying to say. The current mental framework that people use is usually have the goal, have the end goal, have where they are, have the end goal, and then just fucking go as hard as they can. Battle it out, do whatever they can, and then they generally completely fuck it up within a month or two, and then they go back to how they were, if not worse. They don't even go back to where they were, they fall below baseline, which is the worst possible outcome. And this is where my hopscotch template is literally invaluable, because what it does is it introduces more milestones and more moments of achievement throughout the goal. So what you need to do is start with the end goal in mind. Assess what you really want, the person that you really want to be, and the goal that you really want to achieve. And then once you've got it, it is now irrelevant. Once you've got the end goal in mind, that disappears. It becomes completely irrelevant. And the only thing that matters now is the next square on the hopscotch template, the next step that is going to eventually provide you the outcome that you want. So let's use, for example, someone who wants to lose weight. Let's say someone's 120 kilos and they want to get to 100. The deficit between where they are at 120 kilos and where they want to be at 100 kilos is fucking massive. It's too big for your mind to mentally comprehend. And generally, they're almost defeated before they even start. This is the recipe for disaster. This is the worst possible start to a goal, is when you're mentally already beat before you start. And this is what happens when you have too much of a deficit between where you are and where you want to be. So what the hopscotch template provides is these tiny little increments. And what happens is the deficit between 120 kilos and 100 is so massive. but the deficit between 120 kilos and 119 kilos is tiny. What does this provide? It means that the person mentally and in their mind has so much more chance of achieving that little tiny increment, that 1 kilo loss, because it seems so much more achievable mentally. It's not physically any much different, but mentally they can see in the distance the next step and the next step after that. It's so much clearer, it's so much smaller, it's so much more rewarding because the pathway is littered with small milestones that can be achieved and can be looked at as an achievement. And once you hit the next step, you can make the little micro adjustments that you might actually need to make, because along the way you're going to have to make micro adjustments no matter what the goal is. But what I'm trying to say is it provides an absolute trajectory. Have the start where you are. Have the end goal as the end of the hopscotch template, and then start filling in all the little squares that you need to fill in between that you can then progress through. But you need to make sure that the squares are exactly what you want. They need to be made in accordance with where you want to go. So be very precise about the little squares, but if you can do that, your goal will become inevitably achievable. All you have to do is just progress to the next square, and you will be able to so much more easily and with so much more energy and enthusiasm, because it seems so much more achievable now that the deficit is so small. You don't have this huge fucking distance between where you are and where you want to go. You just have the next little step. And it's so much more motivating, it's so much more fulfilling, because each time you get this little boost of energy and motivation. So it's massive for me. It's huge. And, obviously I've got a big 23 ahead of me. I want to do a lot of things. I've got a lot of things I want to accomplish, a lot of goals that I want to accomplish. And I know you guys too. So everyone who's listening to this, if you do have any questions or you do have anything that you want to ask me, feel free to message me. Like, I really am so happy to help anyone. I generally reply with like videos or voice memos. I don't usually message. It's just so much easier. But please, if you have any questions or any queries or anything like that, please inbox me. Don't be afraid, because I'm super happy to help anyone. Obviously, it's so much better when you have someone in your corner and other people who are on the similar sort of wavelength mentally. It makes it so much easier. So please, if you guys have any questions, feel free, shoot away, and let's have a big 23 together, and let's finally start fucking becoming the people that we really want to become. I know I'm going to, so hopefully a few of you guys can as well. So 23, let's go, baby. Let's fucking go.